The Witcher, what have they done this time?
Then take me here. I don't want it. I told you I don't want it.
It doesn't matter what you want.
No thanks, that doesn't happen till later in the episode. I'll get to that. Rewind.
Urgent upon that mix, power of hijinks that did perplex me.
Fuck. Jesus.
Fine, I'll start with that. This character is called Valdo Marx. Valdo Marx was on screen for maybe 10 seconds before he became my new least favourite character in the show. I don't know how much this season cost. Previous seasons have cost in the region of $150 to $200 million though. $200 million for this. The cost soon adds up, I suppose, when you're paying Henry Cavill a reported $1 million an episode to then barely even have him in the show. And this is Witcher Blood Origin quality stuff, just having characters break into irritating song. In part 1 of my review, Yennefer's adopted daughter Ciri had run off and was in mortal danger, so unlike in the books, where Yennefer went after her right away, Ciri's Yennefer instead planned a dance party, talked to some people about their romantic lives while her young adopted daughter was missing for at least 2 to 3 days. How do you cut the book scene from the show where Yennefer went after her? Of course she'd go after her! And it's the symbolism of the moment that's missing from the series now. It's the mutual care for Ciri that brings Yen and Geralt together like the three are a family. Ciri was riding for at least 2 days, that's what the show tells us. To get back to where she came from, over land, will take 2 extra days longer than the ship will take to get there.
Then we go around the Gulf.
It'll add 2 days to our journey.
I have little idea of where they are, and even people that watched every episode probably won't know, so I'm going to try and help. Here's a map of the middle of the continent. Nilfgaard is down here, Redania is up there, and most of the action is currently here in Temeria. Here is Thanad Island, which has the magic school for young women, the Garstang Palace where I'm guessing the conclave is being held, and Tor Lara, the Tower of the Gull. So they take the ship instead from maybe here. That's my best guess. In the book, Ciri left a note telling Yennefer that she was going to see Geralt in a place called Hirundum, which is here, and Yen went after her right away and saved her from the Wild Hunt. In the series, there was no note, so from Yen's perspective, Ciri, the girl she was supposed to be protecting, just disappeared without a word for 2 to 3 days, and Yen planned a party. None of this stuff with the ship is in the books, so let's see what the makers of The Witcher do with this entirely original scene.
A pox upon that ox who did accost and so depressed me. All I'm dreaming of.
You're going to disturb the Eshna. Shut up! You're going to disturb the Eshna.
That's the point, my dear. And are you quite sure it's an Eshna? I heard a song about one, and they definitely can't swim. And have no enemies.
Swords!
Geralt and co. agree to deal with the monster that's been attacking ships at sea in exchange for free passage to the Magic Academy at Aretuza, and Valdo Marx and his entourage are on the same boat. They're going to be back next episode for some more singing, so that'll be something to look forward to, won't it? Oh goody, more of that complete nosher. Every moment this character is on screen is making this series harder to watch. There is also complete tonal whiplash from this character and his group being there. The seriousness of the struggle is undermined by being next to their singing and slapstick. I had to think about this for a while to consider if I was being fair. I was asking myself, what is the difference between tonal whiplash and juxtaposition? Because I've praised the use of juxtaposition in the books. Both involve putting 2 ideas or pieces of content of different tones next to each other, so why are they different? Why is one effective and the other not? And I think I have it. They're different because one is effective and the other is not. tonal whiplash will undermine both pieces of content, whereas juxtaposition will make both more effective. Take this fantastic scene from Game of Thrones as an example.
I am the king. I will punish you.
Any man who must say, I am the king, is no true king. I'll make sure you understand that when I've won your war for you.
Now, you have to put a scene before that one. I would argue if you had Tywin Lannister do a slapstick falling over to the sound of a clown horn, that would be tonal whiplash. It would make him look like a fool right before he needed to be seen as very serious. But using maybe a healthy romance scene could make the Lannisters' family dynamics look even more dysfunctional in contrast. The monster shows up and Geralt and co left their swords on the other side of the boat for reasons. They fight it and Ciri kills the monster because of course she does. The Witcher is constantly playing second fiddle in his own show. Meanwhile, Yennefer is still portaling around, sorting out her party invites. She crashes a funeral and someone tries to assassinate her on the way back. None of this seems to be in the books, which explains why it's so poorly written. Yennefer gets away and arrives back at Aretusa, maybe somewhere on Thanad Island I'm guessing, so here on the map. Sabrina and Triss come in to find a panicked Yennefer and Sabrina says this.
Are you alright? The portal, it was corrupted. Like it was intercepted.
Don't be dramatic. Tonal's been emitting strange frequencies lately. Retrograde nonsense.
No.
And this is full on Witcher blood origin stuff again. What exactly is someone who's not read the books supposed to get out of that line? Have they ever explained once in the show what Tor Lara is? I went back and checked and it was mentioned in episode 2. Of season 1 that is, all the way back in 2019. That's nearly 4 years ago now. I only remembered because I just read the book where it explains any of what she just said. There's somewhere called Thanad Island off the coast of Temeria. On that island is the Magic Academy for Girls, Aretusa. Next to that, a palace for mages called Garstang, and right on the sea, a large tower called the Tower of the Gull or Tor Lara. The elves built all of this before the humans then stole it. In the books, we're told that nobody goes near the tower because there's an unstable portal at the top and it's dangerous, and if mages try to teleport near it, it can send them to random places. In the series, they don't really bother with that. None of this was explained in the show, they just wildly drop in book references. Knowing this is kind of needed to understand plot critical things that are coming up in the story, and they just don't bother to explain it. They do more romance with Jaskier and Radovid, none of which was in the books, while cutting the scene of romance with Geralt and Yennefer that was my favourite scene in the whole book. So much for book accurate, but maybe they can make something interesting out of it. And I feel this show should have learned a lot from Game of Thrones. That's apparently what they were trying to emulate with this show. You know how the Northerners in Thrones had distinctive accents and ways of dress, so you knew where you were in the world, from the landscapes and the clothes and the voices, without people having to say it. Radovid had a Northern accent in the games. As far as I recall, most of the Northerners did. This series, some do. The Northern leaders sound like they're Southern UK, and the odd Jamaican barmaid just shows up. The accents in the show are as random as the casting. They had people of different ethnicities in Thrones, but they took the care to make it work in the story and the setting. In The Witcher, they just didn't bother. Geralt and Yennefer go to the party that will become the Thanad coup, while Jaskier has been left in a cabin to look after Ciri, and Yen has surrounded the cabin with magic to stop anyone entering. And this makes so much less sense than the books, where they take Ciri to Aretusa and keep her close in a room. Ciri has just run away and you leave her in a random cabin with just Jaskier looking after her and Yen and Geralt too far away to help if she decides to run away again. And Jaskier fails to look after Ciri. He instead goes off to bang Radovid. Good job leaving him in charge. This is kind of why in the book they didn't leave Jaskier in charge. Now, this is the end of the review part, and for the rest of the video, I'm going to open up my virtual mailbag and respond to some of the feedback I've gotten from YouTube viewers, like this part of a comment from this video. You can talk about body positivity all you want, but there are plenty of guys who like plus-sized women. But that's not the standard that's going to get you the widest amount of male attention. And I agree entirely, Yennefer. From surveys, there are men who prefer Kate Moss's body type, and there are also men who like ladies to be quite a lot larger than Kate Upton. But on average, the majority of straight men seem to be most attracted to women within that healthy medium range. If you go to a popular site for explicit content and look at the most popular creators on there, just look at the top 10 and you will see women with a considerable range of body types. So ladies, you're in luck. Men seem to have quite a wide tolerance for what they find attractive in women, and men continue to be attracted to women despite women's dogged attempts to make it otherwise. As for women, I went to the book review website Goodreads and looked for romance novels written for women by women, and I learned that women on the whole appear to be really weird. They also really like athletic men with no shirts on. I mean, really like. There is very little diversity in body type. It's like thinner or fatter men don't exist in this universe. That seems to be most of what the book covers in the romance section are. There are also athletic orcs with no shirts on, athletic gargoyles with no shirts on, athletic bad boy minotaurs with no shirts on, a lot of bad puns, and a yeti? Seriously?
Fuck. Jesus. A dwarf.
You've got spunk and balls. And I like that in a woman.